Hey there, guys. Pat with the Cable Guys. I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on with episode 3 here. So we had a great conversation with Corey that we're going to talk about with me and Chris in a little bit. And what really happened is I'm not very good at this stuff, and we ran into some issues here where we had the conversation with Corey. We recorded that. We had the video and everything like that. In the chat with at the beginning with Chris, you'll hear me say like, "Oh, I converted the video from Zoom. I put it into the folder that we use to save all the Cable Guy stuff, so I can edit it later." Then what happens when we record the part with Chris is they both save as the same name when anything comes from Zoom. And when I move them into the same folder, you can't have two things with the same name in the same folder, so that apparently a pop-up comes up and says, do you want to replace your original file or anything like that? And without reading it, because I'm a millennial and I just don't want to read things that jump up at me, I hit the one that had a check mark next to it. So I replaced Corey's interview recording file on my computer with the recording file of Chris from the beginning of the show. So I lost the video with Corey for the second time because that happened before and we lost the audio as well. This time I was able to save the audio because I caught it early enough. So we do have at least the audio. So in a second, you'll see me and Chris come on. We'll chat about what's going to happen and everything. We'll throw it to Corey during the interview, and you'll just see. I'm going to try and put a title card on the screen so you'll see that. But it will just be the audio that you'll need to focus on because there's no video or anything. I do want to apologize for that. I know a lot of us are looking for content and everything, and we want to provide that for you, at least on the league, because we're supposed to be starting up soon, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen for a little bit. And I also want to apologize to Corey. I'm sorry I lost the video again. I suck at this. Hopefully we will figure it out and do better, and it won't happen again. But it was a great chat. We'd love having you on. Hopefully we do it again at some point and go from there. So like me and Chris will say, this is a work in progress because neither of us have done anything like this before. And at this point, it can only get better because we won't hopefully continue to lose these videos and everything. Which kind of sucks too, because we had a lot of little great visual things that happened. At one point, Corey starts talking about Connor Mars hitting, and Chris just reaches behind him and grabs some lotion and like puts it on his hands, and under the desk it's like staring at the screen and going like this. And we're like, I start losing it. I was like, is anyone not going to talk about this? Like, it's pretty suggestive there, Chris. As long as with some other things that, I mean, you can only get when you see someone's face and things like that. So I know that'll get lost in the shuffle here, but we hope that this is the last time that this happens. I will focus a lot more on the way I do things here, so nothing like this happens again. But again, just stick with us. It's a work in progress. We will do whatever we can to make this as good as we can. And if you have any suggestions or anything, reach out, let us know. I just wanted to say that before we get started here, and we're going to throw it right over to Chris and I. Thanks. Hey there, all you cool cats and kittens. Welcome back to episode 3.5 of the Cable Guys. We say episode 3.5 because
Pat lost the recording.
Messed up. We had a nice conversation with Corey on Saturday about everything that we actually talked about in this episode as well.
Corey was nice enough to come on and do it with us a second time.
Yeah.
So he had to spend about 3 hours with us telling the same stories over. So big thanks to Corey for coming on and doing that and being understanding that we're not technical wizards and Pat lost the recording. So you'll hear that later in the episode.
Yeah, so we had a good rehearsal. It was a great thing we had there.
It's a great dress rehearsal.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like when you step up to the plate, man. You got to have a routine. We established our routine, and now we're gonna hit it out of the park.
I'd compare it to us doing IO, but I don't think we've ever taken an IO as a team.
Probably not. So we're actually recording this after we talked to Corey. like I said, it was great. We had a nice long discussion with him. He gave us a little background on the Braves, what happened in their past, how they formed, how he came to the helm of them, and a lot of things that we didn't really know about. Like we know a bunch of the Marlins guys split from the Braves before, but we didn't really know the issues of it and everything like that, and how Corey started to be
You hear
managed.
rumors and rumblings, but you never actually know the full story. So it was nice to get the information straight from the source.
Yeah, and then what we talked about at the end is how he was pretty vocal about the
The
rule change
ejection
that
rules.
was
Yeah.
that was proposed during the off season this year. And the ignorant person that I am just kind of thought that I was like, oh, he got thrown out a lot, so that's why he. In turn, goes to show. I mean, I'm wrong. So a lot.
Happens a lot.
Um, so he got thrown out once, and it was kind of a fluke thing, and we got into why he was so vocal with that, about why he didn't want immediate ejections when someone gets thrown out and everything. Um, and it was a great conversation. It's gonna be long. Um,
It'll
but
give everybody something to listen to on their
yeah, I
Tuesday,
mean,
probably afternoon.
we're content providers at this point. Like
That's right.
we're
We're
we
providing a service for those of you that care about the CABL and can't play right now, or care probably too much about the CABL like we do.
all 9 of you.
Shout out Mike Terrio.
Hopefully he's got something to watch while he's delivering packages and everything tomorrow, keeping our country running, which is great. Along with all those doctors and nurses out in the hospital. Well, I'm not comparing doctors and nurses to
Or Mike Terrio.
postal workers, but hey, they're all essential personnel. They're all working right now. But I was trying to use it as a segue to talk about what's going on with the league. I know when we had Dave on last time, we were discussing that we had a managed meeting last Tuesday. We're now recording this on Monday because we messed up. So we're going to have a quick turnaround on this. But last Tuesday, the league managers got together on Zoom because social distancing reasons,
Oh yeah.
and decided that we are going to try and move forward and still conduct a full 22 game season. That 22 game season is going to have to be extended because of the coronavirus and everything going on right now with school still being closed until May 4th and stuff like that.
Yep. So typically our season runs, for those of you who don't know, from mid-April till the second week of August for a regular season, and then playoffs typically run to the second or third week of September. The way things are looking right now, we're probably not going to get going until mid to late May. I think May 17th is probably the date that we're going to target right now. And if we still play a full 22 game season, that'll run our playoffs into mid to late October, which I actually think will be really cool to play some October baseball. We won't be playing October baseball, but for the league to play some October baseball, I think that's something that's kind of cool.
For us to be calling some October games is going to be really
it's going to be great. You're going to hear us on the call. I mean, nobody wants to wait longer to start the season, but given everything that's going on right now, it's the obvious call because we can't start any earlier. But the health and safety of the league players is going to be first and foremost, which is great. And the fact that we might be able to salvage 22 game season will be even better. So keep our fingers crossed for good news. And I mean, obviously, baseball is not the priority right now, but it's something that we're all looking forward to. So good news health-wise is good news for the CABL getting back on the field.
Yeah, well, baseball, like we all want to play, we all want to get going as quickly as we can. But like you said, it's definitely not the priority. I know the Senators have someone pretty close to them that has been affected by the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
They are doing a lot better now, though. There was also we got a lot of the Senators together to chip in and do a little bit of donating and things like that. But it sounds like things are on the upswing, which is great.
Taking a turn for the better.
Yeah. And all of our thoughts, prayers, whatever you want, whatever you can send out are definitely going to the family of the guys on our team. So, I mean, they are two or multiple or one. We don't want to give out too much right now because we don't want to overstep or anything like that. But the people that are on our team that are affected are the type of guys that would give you the shirt off their back if you asked. That you wouldn't even need a reason or anything like that. Just be like, hey, man, I like that shirt. And he'd be like, here you go. Probably not someone you'd want to see with a shirt off, but
Yeah,
hey,
probably wouldn't fit you if he gave it to you, but that's okay.
yeah.
You swim in it.
But we're all definitely thoughts and prayers out for them. And like me and Chris said, we don't want to overstep and share too much. So if thoughts on that change, maybe we have them on. They can chat, let us know what's going on and everything. So we're really pulling for them, and we just want the best for that. But at the same time, we are going to still continue to talk about baseball because
We need a distraction.
I cope by deflection and making jokes. So moving here, the vote for the 22 game season basically was unanimous. The only reason that the one team that didn't vote for extending the season to make it 22 games still wanted to do 22 games. They just kind of wanted to try and end around where we usually end, which I completely understand that. They were looking for some more doubleheaders and more weeknight games and everything. It's just we don't think it's going to be able to work out that way.
No, the issue that we'd be running into there is the doubleheaders. The way our schedule works this year is we have 3 divisions. You play everybody in your division 3 times and everybody outside of your division 1 time.
So now you split doubleheaders and things like that.
Right, because the way the schedule is created right now is you're already scheduled for a doubleheader against everybody in your division. So if you were to add more doubleheaders, they'd have to be split doubleheaders against. So we could be playing the Rebels and the Dodgers in the same day, or the Dodgers could be playing. I don't need to give a million examples. People understand. And then night games, we're already scheduled against everybody in our division for a night game. So all of the South teams are playing all of the South teams. Right. So it would include a lot of excess travel. You could have, the Giants coming down to Duxbury to play us for a night game or something.
I love the idea.
We know that's not happening. But the other issue is it becomes a much bigger cost to the league because night games tend to cost at least double, if not more, what a day game would cost. So it's not really feasible to try and play 22 games in a time period that's shortened by a month already.
Yeah.
Especially, I think then the third issue that was raised on the meeting the other night is a lot of these teams have guys that play in multiple leagues, and the appeal of playing in this league is it's a Sunday league. So if you want to play Monday through Friday somewhere else, you're able to, and then come play here on a Sunday. And
that's kind of what I was going to get to. Where
if you start messing with that, if you start messing with that, you're going to lose players. You're going to be short guys, and we're a Sunday league when it comes down to it, with a couple of night games mixed in, which is fun for everybody because we all love night games. But when it comes down to it, we're a Sunday league. The league, if we're going to keep the 22 game schedule, keep the integrity of that schedule, it's going to end up having to run until early to mid September for regular season and into October for playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely think it would get cool with that, and I don't mean just like atmosphere wise, like also atmosphere wise, it's going to get colder.
Sure is.
So it's definitely going to be interesting with that coming up. And then I know, Chris, you were just throwing out that the 17th is kind of what we're targeting. It's a date that's been thrown out there. Nothing's official yet, obviously, because after we know that the height of what's going to happen is going to be in these next few weeks.
We hope.
So depending on how that works, that could either be moved. We just don't want to set a date and say that's the actual definite date that we're coming back, because everything's so fluid and it's always changing and everything.
It's impossible to set a hard date. We've got our fingers crossed that, hey, maybe we'll be able to start on the 17th. I think that's the earliest possible date that we're saying, hey, this might be a realistic possibility.
There's no way we're starting earlier than that. I don't see one.
No.
Because even if we do, we're still going to have to try and figure out the schedule, who we're going to play when and things like that, and make sure we still have permits for fields and all that stuff behind the scenes that a lot of people, when they play in a league, don't see.
Yep.
So, yeah, we have that. Other than that, not much league updates. I mean, we would have started by now?
We would have had a scrimmage yesterday. We had been talking with the Royals about scrimmaging yesterday before everything went to shit. It's very depressing that we could have been on a baseball field scrimmaging yesterday and getting ready to start.
I'm very glad that you didn't text me that and tell me, though.
I could have.
You shouldn't.
I know, but I thought about it all day, and today got nice out, and I said, you know what? after work, I'm going to take my batting tee and net that I ordered a couple of weeks ago because I was depressed and wanted to hit baseballs. And I'm going to go in my backyard and I'm going to hit baseballs. And that's what I did. And it felt good for 15 minutes until I remembered, hey, this won't be necessary for another 6 weeks.
So you know what I'm going to do right now while we have this on here, and just to confirm,
What's that?
the interview with Corey just finished converting, and
Oh,
I'm
good.
going to move it into the Cable Guys folder.
Please do. Please don't lose it again. You
Whew,
can't ask
this is a
Corey
big
to do this
moment.
again.
This is a big moment.
Are we going to text him at midnight and say, Corey, we lost it again?
Here we go. All right. We're going to confirm. And we're good. We're good.
Bingo. Let's go.
Yeah, so we don't have to get Corey on here for a third time. That's great. So we're going to change things up a little bit too. We realized when we did our dry run that talking about what we've been planning on doing is doing a team preview from one team in each division. Talking about the Rebels really wouldn't do them justice right now. We don't want to kind of talk in circles and just be like, yeah, they're going to do this. Maybe. Who knows? We don't know them.
All we know about them right now is that they used to be the Royals in the Greater Lowell Baseball Association. They played in the Cable Classic last year and knocked out the team that we were playing for. And they made the championship in the GLBA last year. Other than that, we don't know a hell of a lot about them. There's no roster up on the website. So that's the team. There's nothing we can really look at. That's the team that we had planned on talking about today. And upon the minimal amount of research that we did, we couldn't really find much. So we're going to defer that to a later time, and we can have somebody on that might be a little bit more knowledgeable about them. And we're just going to talk about the Mariners today because we've played them a lot, so we know quite a bit about them.
Yeah, and I think what we have for the idea moving forward too is that basically every week you're going to get me and Chris here. We have nothing better to do. We need some baseball in our lives, so we're going to be here every week trying to release a video on Tuesdays, just talking about the league, what's going to happen. Our third chair is most likely going to be Dave Druso, who we had on before. He seemed to really enjoy it. We're going to work out the dynamic of how this works a little bit, so maybe we don't talk as long on things, and we don't try and interrupt each other all the time, because that's a big thing that I do, is I'll just interrupt you if I want to say something because I love the sound of my own voice.
You sure do.
And kind of go from there. And then we're going to try and bring on as many guests as we can. So our hope is that we can get someone, I think he said Tristan's the Rebels, right? So hopefully we can get Tristan on here at some point, kind of give us a background on kind of what Corey's about to do, is give us a background on the Rebels, chat with us, let us know what's going on, where they're coming from, things like that. So
the idea is to bring on people that are more knowledgeable than we are. Yeah,
we want to do them justice. We don't want to just kind of talk about nothing. So we will do that. Moving forward, I mean, we'll do the teams in the South. So we've played them a million times, but if this extends or we run out of stuff after we do all these team previews, we'll definitely go back and we'll talk to someone from each team and chat.
Then God damn it, watch out, because we're just going to be trying to fill airtime.
And we have a few other ideas of things to do for that, either killing time or in the off season, just to keep this going, because I'm actually enjoying this.
Yeah, it's just fun to talk baseball. It's a fun substitute right now, and I know there's a lot of guys around the league.
And I love you, man.
Same. You want me to say it too? I love you too, bud.
Thanks.
And we know there's a lot of guys around the league that are itching to get into baseball, so hopefully this is something that can kind of fill their time and scratch a little bit before we can actually get on the field.
All right, so our conversation with Corey was great, but it was also long, so we're going to try and do this pretty quickly. Let's jump right into the Mariners here. One of the teams that, like we said, play in the South, play every year. But other than the season, you don't really hear too much from them.
No, not a whole lot. You don't see a lot of them at the off-season meetings, but they always get their money in. They always show up to play with a full roster, and they're always a good team.
Yeah.
They won the inaugural CABL championship back in 2015 when Connor Brown was at the helm and Alec Palioka was pitching probably 3/4 of the innings that they had available. But since then, Connor's taken off, and I'm blanking on his name. James Cahano has taken over as the manager. I think they've retained a lot of the team from that time. They're anchored by, DJ Goldberg and Chris Horn and Paul Everett, who I think has been on the team a little bit less than the rest of those guys, but is probably the anchor in the middle of their lineup and behind the plate.
Yeah.
DJ used to pitch for them, still pitches a little bit, plays shortstop now, but very solid shortstop with a good bat. Chris Horn kind of seems to be a jack of all trade for those guys. He pitches, he plays the outfield, he plays a little bit of infield, he hits, he's fast.
All those guys are great pitchers, but
yeah,
no one in their team's going to touch Maltesta.
No, he's their ace. He's their big game guy. He's going to go out there. He's going to probably kill you with two-seam fastballs because that's all he really has to throw. It's what he beat us with last year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he threw anything other than a two-seam fastball that game.
Probably not, because the Senators cannot hit speed and they can't hit movement, and his pitch has both of them. So
true.
A lot of us are just going like, I didn't think a ball can move like that.
Yeah, that's not fair. This is a men's league.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, Nick's gonna.
At one point, I pulled the bench warmers, and I was like, "Did you tell him to slow it down?"
No, he's going to continue to anchor their rotation. He's probably going to get 9 or 10 starts like he normally does, and probably win the vast majority of those. The offense is always going to score enough runs to keep them competitive. Like I said, Paul Everett and DJ are usually they're 3-4 guys, so those are guys you can depend on to hit 350 plus. I think DJ was up over 400 last year. Then you go down the roster. I think you got.
Looking at this, they had 5 guys over 400 last year. Granted, 2 of them are probably pitchers or either fill-ins where they got 3 and 5 at bats and hit 600. But Everett,
we can discount those ones.
Yeah, but Everett played. It looks like he wasn't there too much. He played in just under half the games. He played in 9 games, got 30 at bats, and hit 500.
Yeah,
and then you got DJ under him and Chris a little bit lower too.
Yeah.
You got Matt Bolter who also hit almost 450.
Mm-hmm.
Where these guys are great hitters, but you see numbers like this on other teams and you see some home runs with them. These guys, I know we have a story about a home run against the Mariners, but they don't. Last year they didn't have any.
Yeah, they don't hit a ton of them, but they'll single and double you to death, and they'll push runs across.
Do you want to talk about the home run off of us?
I guess. It was.
Was it DJ, right?
Huh?
It was DJ, right?
It sure wasn't. It was our first. It was our first year in the league. We had a 2-0 lead going into the 6th inning with Adam Simpson on the mound, who does not pitch anymore.
There's a reason.
Yep, he got 2 runners on base in the 6th inning, and he served one up to Tyler Higgins, and Tyler got all of it up at World Series Park in Saugus, and he was pretty vocal around in the bases. He was pretty happy, and yeah, I can't blame him. I think Adam was a little bit pissed about the show of emotion. It's like, well, don't throw him a 70-mile-an-hour fastball down the dick at him, and he won't celebrate on it.
The only thing that I remember was after he hit the ball, I turned around and looked at it, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I think that was the first home run our team had given up. We're like, people can do that in this league?
So he hit the ball, and I'm like, I've never seen a ball go that far. So I was more shocked that anything happened. And then I think throughout the whole next at bat, I'm smiling. They're like, why are you smiling? I was like, that was a rocket.
We like to roast our pitchers when they give up home runs.
We sure do.
Usually you and I look at them they hit that really far, and they shut the fuck up.
So I was like, it's going to be tough to get that one back.
Yep. Yeah, I think the only one who's had a positive reaction to us roasting them after a home run is Jason. He gave one up to Manny Powers on the Marlins. You were playing short. I was playing second. We both looked at him like, dude. He's like, I know, he crushed it.
I do remember that one, too. Because after everyone hits a hard ball, you and me always sort of make eye contact. No, look at that.
Jesus.
And Jason's like, I know, he hit it far. But yeah, they're definitely going to be a good team, like we've said in the past in an interview with Corey, that we don't want to say it's etched in stone that the Cubs are going to come in first place, because anything can always happen.
Yep.
But the way that that it looks is with all the additions that they make that we're going to get to, it does look like that they're going to repeat in the South.
Probably. It's going to be the Senators, the Royals, and the Mariners competing for second place.
As much as we want to say that, Chris, I still think it's more the Royals and the Mariners.
Probably, but we're trying to pump us up a little bit.
I don't think we're that far behind.
Yeah.
Which is great to have. We have some competition in the South, which is going to be interesting. It's a very it's a stacked division.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, even with a few of these other guys on the team, I know we talked about Everett, but I say that we played together at Framingham when I was there, even though he played when I was at Framingham.
And you watched him
And
play.
I was a very good support system for the team. I would throw BP to a lot of guys.
From what I understand, you were the best mop-up guy Framingham's ever seen.
Hey, I got in one game for an inning, and
You got a hold, my friend. You got
we
a
were
hold.
only up 4 runs.
That's a hold.
Yeah, I know. I never said it was a save or anything.
Oh, I know. I'm complimenting you.
But I also got in a lot of games when it was 27-2. We don't want to use our pitchers. Dempsey, go throw strikes. And I got shelled.
Sounds right. I kind of want to go back. I have never actually looked at your college stats. I want to go back and look what your pitching stats were.
Pull them up now while we're talking, see what happens. But along with Paul, we also had Rob McLaughlin, who's one of their bullpen guys on our team. He actually ends up playing some outfield for them, I think, when they need it. So that's definitely someone that we know. But Rob was a crafty vet that was out there. He's always got good. He's got good stuff. I mean, he may not overpower you, but he definitely has some good stuff there.
Yeah, he pitched against us last year. He just kept us off balance and ended up grabbing the win. It was
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it was a frustrating game for us because we're like, we should be able to hit this guy, and we just couldn't.
I can't wait till you see my picture. I look so weird.
I did just find your stats. So Pat Dempsey, 5 appearances, no starts. You pitched 8 innings, which is more than you should have pitched. 14 hits, 12 runs, 8 earned, 4 walks. You had 6 strikeouts. That's pretty good. Looks like you gave up 4 doubles, no home runs, and with a 9 ERA, which is definitely not the worst on the team. Better than I was expecting, Pat. I'll admit that.
So, Chris, what are the chances?
Nope. I'm looking at another pitcher on the team, Ryan Bowen. I think he used to pitch for the Royals in this league.
Sure did.
Oh, how about that?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
He's in another league now. I don't know which one it is, but I've seen his updates and stuff on Facebook about playing baseball still. So
there's another guy on this team, Mark Manini, that I played with in the Cranberry League.
He's from Hull.
Yeah, I think he's a Situate police officer now, or Marshfield police officer.
Might be. He played third base. He was the backup at one point the year that I played, and ended up coming in and playing a lot so he played third, but he came in when our second baseman was struggling because they moved the third baseman to second base, and he filled in there.
He played first base a lot on my Cranberry League team because our first baseman struggled.
Yeah. But the kid's a ball player. But not to keep talking about people that aren't in the league or anything, but yeah, they're going to be a solid team. It's great to see that more competition and everything has come into the league, and that's what we want to see, even if it's at the expense of the Senators still trying to make a playoff push, but whatever.
That's why we voted for 10 playoff teams, baby.
That's right. Other than that,
we're the wild card kids.
Other than that, I mean, I got really nothing else. We can throw it to Corey and call it a night.
Sounds good to me. He was a great interview. We talked to him for a while. Like you said, he took us through the history of the Braves since he's been involved. I don't know much about the history before that. Eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to do a deep dive on the beginning of this league, but it's probably a story for another day. But yeah, Corey's a great interview. He's somebody that's very invested in the health and the future of this league. He's somebody that likes to be involved. He likes seeing the league prosper, and he's a great guy to have around.
Yeah. So we'll throw it to him in just a second. Just a few more housekeeping things. I know, like we've said before, we have a CABL spring training league on the show, as well as a Senators league that both have started. I still have yet to win a game in either of them, but
he's not great.
Huh?
You're not great.
No, I swing at everything.
You sure do.
So keep an eye out for those. We might start trying to put those up at some point, maybe stream some of those games, and just so we can have some baseball to watch of something. And just 2 guys that are horrendous at video games trying to play.
Hey, hold off there. I'm 3-1 in our Senators league.
I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about me against Reed.
Okay, perfect.
So we'll have
The
that.
toilet bowl.
That's right. We'll have that, and then we have talked about, like, we have a golf tournament coming up. We'll get you more information on that stuff, so maybe we can have people signing up for that,
Yep.
and just thought all of our thoughts and prayers and anything you want to send goes out to all those people that are either self-isolating or may have been exposed to something or even could have contracted this coronavirus. It is a very scary situation we're living in. It's nothing like we've ever seen before. So we want all those people to stay out there, stay safe, so we can all get back out on the field soon and play some ball.
Yeah, and I don't have much more to add to that. Look out for our streams if we ever get that going, because that's going to be really boring to watch, but we're going to have fun with it.
Yeah.
Like Pat mentioned earlier, we got a couple of ideas that once we finish with our team previews and kind of previewing the season, we got a couple of ideas what we want to do with this podcast, especially if the season continues to get delayed, or maybe next off season we'll have some content that's at least interesting to us, hopefully to the rest of the people as well. Yeah. I think we want to try and get former league president Mike Carpenter on here at some point to talk about the formation of the league and how it kind of came to be, which will be fun. But for the time being, we'll continue with our team previews. We can go talk to Corey and hear about the Braves.
And I mean, everything that we're doing right now is a work in progress. I know we've mentioned
it bear with us, please.
But I lost the recording again, so bear with us. But if you have any ideas, tips, anything you want us to go over, definitely let us know. We're both on Twitter, Facebook, even the YouTube, the channel that we have.
The Cable Guys on Twitter.
What's that?
At the Cable Guys on Twitter, right?
Yep. I think
CABL. There's no E.
So definitely let us know anything you want to go over, anyone that you want us to have on, and we'll do whatever we can. If anyone is good with this stuff and knows how we can make it better, definitely reach out. Let us know. We'd love to get any help that we can. So instead of
right now, this is just two idiots recording on Zoom.
Earlier, I mean, in a second, it's going to be three idiots recording on Zoom.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, we're going to throw it to Corey again. So thanks everyone for coming. I know I say it at the end, but we'll see you next Tuesday, and everyone stay safe.
See you later.
Later. All right, and welcoming on again, we have Corey Schwartz. Corey, thanks for stopping by again.
Hey, no problem. It was great the first time around, and I'm sure it'll be just as good this time.
We got a good dry run in. You always want to have a practice, have warm-ups beforehand. So I think it's a great thing we did that. So now
it's not like us to take an IO though, so I don't know why we did a practice round, but
we always hit in the cage though. So
no, we don't.
Yeah, I know.
The cage at our field has holes in the net. We can't hit it there.
That's better than all the cages that they have at all the Boston fields.
Fair. Just cages. They're legit just cages, right?
they're literally not even.
There you go.
There we go. So Corey Schwartz, manager of the now Boston Braves, used to be the Lexington Braves, probably a bunch of other names beforehand. Like we said last time, fourth year in the league, right? Third as a manager.
I was thinking about that. I was like, did I screw that up last time? Because I was trying to think. I'm like, so this would be 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. This would be
your fifth year.
So technically, I think this is my fifth year. I got to double check that because I'm not completely sure. It might have been 27. I don't know.
Well, but yeah, we can look up your stats. We have the technology.
That's true. I know. I was just trying to look it up, and I'm like, shit.
Well, as you heard in the first two episodes, Corey, as long as someone says something directly to me, I take it as fact, and I do not fact check anything at all. So I always ask Chris, I was like, yeah, like, I think it was, where did the Rough Riders finish? And you're like, yeah, they finished in first. I was like, yeah, they sure did. I have no idea. Couldn't tell you.
All right, so this is year 4. That was accurate. 2016 was not accurate. It was 2017.
Okay.
But we started in December of 2016. So, I mean, it's kind of accurate.
I don't know, man. That's confusing me.
Good thing we're re-recording here.
I know. But I know last time we had a great conversation that no one heard about where the Braves came from, what happened, things like that. And I thought it was fascinating hearing some of this from you, the source, and things like that.
Yeah.
Because obviously we don't hear everything as other managers and other players in the league. So
Right.
it's great to hear that background. If you want to go over it again, you can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, we so 2017, the 2017 season officially.
December 2016, though.
Yes. Yeah. So I moved down from Maine I moved from Maine in 2016. That's where I got it.
Okay.
I got it wrong there. And then so I had played men's league ball up in Maine. It was a 25 plus league up there. Wasn't bad, but it's certainly not the same competition as we have down here.
Chris, you want to move to Maine?
Huh?
Why, we might actually be able to win a few playoff games up there.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
We're just biding our time until we can move into 28 plus.
We need Jason. That's it.
I know.
It's kind of what you'd expect for a 25 to 30-year-old group. Like if our league was just 25 to 30-year-olds, it'd be pretty accurate for what we had up in Maine. It's still guys that are very good. A lot of guys that are just kind of just trying to play ball. So but with us being 18 plus, we have a lot more talent that way. But yeah, so I moved from Maine 2016, looking for a baseball team down here, and I signed up for a free agent pool that we talked about that works really well for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then I expected huge things. Got an email from the Braves, which I found out later on was just a mass email sent out to the whole free agent pool.
That even I got because I had signed up for the free agent pool the year before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was like, so I show up to the cages and there's 40 guys there. It was unbelievable. I was like, holy shit, what am I getting myself into here? Like, I just wanted to play ball. So we get into the cages. We had like three and a half tunnels there, and we were filling all of them, just hitting. It was crazy. But you could tell pretty quickly the guys that were there for actually knew what they were doing, and the guys that are just like, I played t-ball when I was younger. So yeah. And so yeah, it was Tim Antonellis, Kevin LeBlanc, Nick Bennett. They were all running the team, and so from that group, from that free agent group, the Braves the year before were most of what are the Malden Marlins now. They were the Malden. We were the Malden Braves back then. A lot of those guys went off to school, and so they had to stop playing for CABL, and most of them were playing college ball. I'm looking at their roster from back then. I mean, Ariel Ramos used to play for them with Griffin Bats.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy Mercado was playing for them. Manny, Nick Powers, all those guys, they were all playing for the Braves back then. And then, so from that tryout, we were able to get Connor Marr, Nick Valdario, myself, John R. Gessinger, Grofi Cruz. The list just went on and on. And
all from that one tryout?
All from that one tryout. It was unbelievable.
Just thinking about the Braves, those are the names that come up. Like,
right.
You need to watch in a lineup. Those are the guys.
Yeah. And then we had then people started getting the word, and somehow Tim's finding all these other guys from all sorts of places. We had a kid named
dealing deals.
Yeah, which I find out happens when you become a coach. You find out things that happen, and that's it's not just the free agent pool that people are using to build these teams. That's for sure. And so we got another kid named Claudio Valencia, who played pro ball down in Mexico, that just showed up one day, and lefty stick, good arm, and like, holy shit, we got a good squad that we're going to have. Andrew Rickey was on that team, who was one of the all-time leading hitters in CABL history.
I think he's got the highest batting average in the league.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he's still up there. I think he's like 545 or something like that all time.
That's nothing.
Yeah, unbelievable. I haven't touched 545 ever.
Well, I mean, you think about it, we look at it now, and like Micah Hearn hits like high 400s to close to 500 every year. And he's still down by probably 75 points career to Andrew Rickey. That's ridiculous.
At this point, I might be closer on a scale to 545 than I am.
Same. And so they already had Mike Ryan on the team already from the year before. Krista Lowry was on the team.
Sorry, I was really proud of that one. Sorry, I just had to relive that one a little bit.
Yeah. Picked up Joey Atanasio, who's still on our team. He used to play for another team that Tim coached a few years back or played for. So we were able to pick him up. Aaron Jamal, who's still on our team, he played. We picked him up through the free agent pool. Harrison Bonner, who's on our team still, he was a catcher. Picked him up through that. So all of a sudden, we're just stacked beyond belief.
Yeah.
I remember telling Kevin at that first tryout, I was like, hey, listen, like, there's a lot of good guys here. I just want to play ball. Like, I really don't want to try out. And he saw me hitting the cages and stuff. He's like, no. Like, don't worry about it. You're going to play. Like, you're going to be on the team and all that. I'm like, all right, cool. Because, like, I was 26 at the time. I'm like, I'm done with tryouts. Like, I'm done doing that stuff. So we ended up getting our squad together. Had a great season. I mean, we had Valdario leading off and Ricky batting second, and we had a guaranteed run in the first inning every time. Valdario would get on, Ricky would bunt him over. Valdario it was a hit and run, but it was like a bunt and run, more or less. And
Wait,
Ricky,
so that's how he has his average so high. He got
Yeah.
6
Oh, yeah.
and just bunted the whole time.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about that is, like, I don't know why people didn't pick up on that, because Valdario would just take off and Ricky would bunt him over. Valdario's at third, or there'd be a missed throw over to first and Valdario's home.
Now, Andrew's a righty, right?
Yeah,
Now,
he's a righty.
You doing like a push bunt, trying to get in between like the pitcher, second baseman, and stuff, or is he
Always,
putting it up to the baseline?
Yeah, he was always putting it down first or putting it between the pitcher and around second base somewhere. And him and Valdario are two of the fastest people I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of fast people. Yeah, and so they would just fly around. And then
I don't know if you know Corey, but I lead the Senators' career in steals.
Not
that's
good.
Unbelievable.
6, I think it is.
Wow.
I think it's like 10. But we don't steal a lot of bases on the Senators.
I was gonna say, don't sell yourself short.
We're big into the singles with station-to-station baseball.
There you go.
There is.
So we'd have those two guys lead off, and 1-2, they'd always get on, and then we'd have Graffy and John and Connor 3, 4, 5 right after that. I mean, there's runs pretty much every time those five are up. And Mike Ryan, he's a singles machine. He comes up, he'll drive one of those guys in after that. Then I would bat and strike out usually. And
well, don't sell yourself short there. I mean, even last year, 15 games you were in, you got almost 40 at bats, and you hit 360. Basically.
Last year was good. Last year, it took me personally, a couple years to tell myself to kind of change my game a little bit. Mm-hmm. I spent a lot of time changing my batting stance all the time and always fucking around with stuff. So I'm just like, you know what? Just stop doing that. Just go up there and hit. Like, I grew up batting fourth, always being our power hitter on my high school teams and middle school teams and stuff like that. So I was always a great hitter. And then I just get in my own head. And I was a lot heavier when I was playing men's league ball too. I mean, after you go to college and stop playing sports altogether and just start drinking constantly, then that's what happens. You gain all the weight. Yeah, exactly. Cheers.
I'll join in.
But yeah, no, we had a
video, by the way.
We had a great season that year. We had our whole infield was unbelievable. Our outfield was unbelievable. Went 17-5, just with pretty much a bunch of free agents and 3 or 4 former Braves or Braves that we brought over to the next season. So we got really lucky, and it's just
I would say lucky. I mean, you look at that lineup; it doesn't sound like there's many outs in there.
No, and that was the thing. I mean, lucky from a stance that we pulled it together from a random email to a free agent pool. Like, that's how.
That team.
What was that?
What was that?
Chris could have been on that team.
I could have been. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. but clearly you didn't want to be.
I'd already sunk a little bit of money into this one, so.
Yeah, right.
Question for you though: that many guys at a tryout, what was the? I know you weren't managing the team at the time, but were guys kind of getting cut on the spot? Were guys being told they have a spot on the team there? How did that work for that leadership group?
It took 2 months to like whittle down the team. Yeah, because the guys that were showing up consistently and that were hitting the ball hard every week in the cages, those are the guys that ended up making it. I mean, I remember seeing the first time I saw Connor hit, it was just unreal. We're watching this kid in the cage, and it sounds like a fan is flying by every time he swings a bat. And just watching the ball just go off the back of the wall or back off the L screen was just like.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but clearly Pat has a joke he's trying to get off.
You start talking about Connor Mars swinging and everything, and all of a sudden you just see Chris reach behind him and grab some lotion. And now
Sorry.
What do you do?
I'll keep my hands on the screen. I think my new dog's giving me allergies. I got to try hands.
Yeah, okay.
But seriously though, all jokes aside, you see something like that come out of a free agent pool, you're just like, holy shit.
How has no one picked this kid up yet?
Where did he come from? And come to find out, after I'm talking to all these guys, we all just happened to transplant to Boston in the same year.
Wow.
Like Harrison moved up from the Carolinas. Connor moved. I think he's from New York somewhere, or one of the somewhere around New England. But he just moved to Boston after. I think. Oh, he went to BC. That's where he did, and then he stayed in Boston after. And just everybody just moved to the area and just happened to play baseball, so it worked out. So yeah, we had. I mean, just that lineup was unreal. We had a great season. That's my furnace in the back, by the way. Apologize for that. It'll go off in a second.
I've got my lotion. Corey's blowing sweet nothings into the camera.
It's gonna be a way better recording.
I'm gonna be like, all right, guys, see you later. I'm gonna get up and not have pants.
But yeah, no, it was just unbelievable. And pretty much, I mean, you win 17 out of 22 games. You're having a great time. It didn't really matter what happened. I mean, we literally went into every game. Like after about like 3 or 4 games into it, we're like, yeah, we're going to win every game. That was our mindset. And the couple games that we lost, there were stupid mistakes or stupid errors, or there's something we didn't change a pitcher out in time or something. The bats were never quiet. And it was impossible to have that kind of a lineup and have the bats be completely quiet for that day. If John wasn't hitting one day, and Connor and Graffy were, and so on and so forth with all those guys, we were always picking each other up. So come playoff time, we had a kid named Kyle Knoll who throws low 90s at warming up. I mean, this kid just has a cannon for an arm. So he had got posed in the beginning of the season because he was the first time he pitched in the cages, we're like, there's our closer right there. It's just going to shut everybody down. Which, had he had the opportunity, he would have. But what had happened was his first outing was just a terrible outing. It was early on in the season. We were up, I think we were up by like 8 runs in the 5th inning. And we lost that lead and ended up losing that game.
It sucks.
It just got bad.
Did he get knocked around, or was he just walking everybody?
He would walk and hit guys. And I remember him hitting a kid right in the middle of the rib cages, 90+ mile per hour fastball. And the kid just you just hear the thud of that ball, and you just know how painful that is.
That's one where both benches go, ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Chris, I'm telling you right now, if a ball like that hit me, I'm done for the season.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm probably retiring.
I'm crying right on the field. So.
No shame.
Yeah. And so he had a terrible outing, and he didn't pitch again pretty much the rest of the summer. I mean, again, we had that lineup show up every week, so we were putting up runs. I don't know why he didn't get another chance. The second chance he got was a do or die playoff game against the Expos.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and we started him that game.
Even better.
I'm like, okay, like,
Was that just out of necessity because there's no other arms available?
I think part of it was because we had the way the playoffs were back then, it was like it was double elimination. So we lost the first game of the first opening round, and then we had to play a doubleheader against the Expos, and the Expos were really good back then too.
Yeah.
And we needed both games, and we knew it was going to be tough. Won the first game. I think Chris DeLowry pitched the first game, did Chris things, and had a great game. And then game 2, we just ran out of steam. Threw Kyle in. I think he let up like 4 runs. Kid hadn't pitched since April, and we're in September. And of course, he's not gonna be ready. And he wasn't a starter. Of course, he's gonna struggle a little bit. So we just lost to them. We had a couple injuries, and it just ended really abruptly, and it really terribly.
We know what that's like.
Yeah, and it left a lot of it left a sour taste in a lot of guys' mouth. And Kevin and Tim ended up having it out. Nick took Kevin's side on it because I mean a lot of people just didn't like Tim after that because the few decisions that he had to make weren't always the greatest. Now, granted, he wasn't a bad coach by any stretch like that. I mean, it's tough to tell how good of a coach you have when you got everybody just going out and hitting every game. You win 17 games. I mean, I personally think we should have won 22 games that year. I don't think there was a game that we should have lost had we made the right decisions in some key spots. I really do think that we should have won 22 games that year. So the off season, it just blew up. I didn't really hear much about anything that was going on. Nobody really knew what was going on. Till like late January, early February, we started back up in the cages. I've been talking to Nick and Kevin, and it was just cat fights back and forth between those two and Tim in texts and group chats. And I'm like, well, I mean, if Tim doesn't want to do it, I'll do it. Like, I just want to play ball. I want to, not knowing at the time what it took to manage, just thinking, yeah, no problem. We're going to have this squad again. Absolutely. Anybody can do this. So come to find out, I show up to, I went out for the board that year. And I show up to the meeting, the managers meeting for the vote for the board. And I'm like, I see Kevin there. I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, you'll find out. I'm like, oh, great. And then I find out that that they were starting the Marlins. So then I start talking to Kevin and Nick and Manny and starting to figure out what's going on there. Tim ended up just being like, Tim didn't really want to start over again. So because the Marlins ended up taking Graffy and John and Ricky and they had Manny too, a part of that because he was coaching. And nobody knew what was going to happen with the Braves really at the time. I stepped up and took over, and then I found out everybody was gone pretty much. We lost a lot of our team. That kid Claudio I was talking about, he was our shortstop a lot of times. He ended up just falling off the face of the earth. I haven't heard from him in years. I don't know where he went, but he's gone. Then the rest of our infield is gone. So now we're left with the guys that we had left. I reach out to Connor and Joey first, and I was just like, guys, listen, like, I'm going to take the team over, but I need to know you guys are going to be here. Or else I'm not doing this either. Like, we'll fold before I lose everybody. And they're like, no, we're in, we're definitely playing. Like, we're happy to have you. And it sucks because like John and Graffy, like I knew Manny wanted to do his own team anyway, because all those guys were getting out of school. They're coming back, all his buddies like Teddy and his brother Nick. Nick came out a couple years later. I think Nick just joined the league again last year, the year before. But he had all his Malden guys coming back. So I knew he was gone anyway. But yeah, so had John and Graffy both known that I was taking over and Tim was gone, then they're like, yeah, we would have stuck around. Like, it sucks. It is what it is. But I mean, we're committed to this team now. Like, that's fine. I get it. Whatever. Shit happens, but we'll move on. We'll play ball still. It doesn't really, it's just men's league. I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Yeah.
So then it was kind of back to the drawing board. I had pretty much half a roster. Had Crystal Lowry back, which was great, obviously. Connor, Joey, Nick Valdario was another one I reached out to early on. Was like, I desperately need you. Like, please come back. And he's one of those kids that you don't hear from the whole off season, and then he just shows up.
Oh, he's on the Mariners?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
No, he's March yourself.
Yeah. You don't hear from him all off season, but you know that he's going to show up.
Yeah.
Like, you talk to him like 2 or 3 times over like a 4-month period, and then he just shows up to game 1 with his check and he's ready to go. So and he's one of those kids you don't worry about either, because he's got such raw talent and he's so fast that you just don't worry about him getting to the cages.
Yeah.
Like, he shows up and hits 400, no problem.
The majority of the time, all he has to do is put the ball in play, and if it's on the ground, he's going to beat it up.
Right, exactly. And he's a really small kid. I mean, I honestly, like, we joke around because we're like, there's no way you're 100 pounds, but he's a great ball player.
No way I'm 100 pounds either.
Yeah, me either.
But I mean, last year, Nick, he got 46 at bats and hit 348. So
yeah, he was
new, and he had.
He was a little down last year. I will admit he did have a little bit of a down year for him. Now that's a good season for most people. Yeah, but for him, it was a little bit of a down year. He missed a couple games, dude, because he started working on Sundays and stuff. You know, you guys know how that goes. And but yeah, he's just one of those guys you don't worry about. So yeah, going into the next season, went into the free agent pool, grabbed whoever I could. Yeah. Got lucky on a couple of guys. Alex McEwen, who's been a workhorse for us ever since 2018 now. He's been one of those guys that I know I can put at third or short or on the mound, and he's gonna be a baller for us no matter what. Picked up a couple other guys. Christian Gonzalez, who plays a lot of first for us, and DH.
That guy can mash.
He hits the ball really hard.
Yeah. But
he's your typical Dominican kid. Like, he literally
no stereotypes, but
no, but he's like we always joke, we call him like Pedro Serrano from Major League. Throw him a fastball, he's gonna send it to the moon. But everybody knows this that's pitched to him.
Yeah.
He can't hit a curveball. It's just one of those guys.
Pat, put that, send it to Jason.
Yeah. I've been working on curveballs with him, so he's gonna hit a little bit better. But at the time, he was one of those guys that just came out and was very raw and hadn't played in a few years. But I watched him hit in the cages. I'm like, yeah, we got a spot for you.
Yeah, I mean, you can basically kind of see that just based on the numbers here too. Like, I mean,
right.
He 276.
Yeah.
Okay, not terrible.
Right.
He had 3 dongs.
Exactly. Yeah. In one game, he had 2 one game. I think we played the Gators.
That's what I was gonna guess, up in Lowell.
Yeah.
That feels like 280 all the way around.
Yeah, exactly. We had 5 home runs that day out there.
Did he hit any at World Series Park?
No, nobody's hit one at World Series. Not even Connor.
Yeah.
Against the Black Sox.
Hey.
Yeah.
It's still
was Alex bitching?
No, Alex was bitching.
Hey, I mean, my ball hit the fence. It was on the other side. It scraped it going down, but like,
hey, it's a home run on the book. That's all that matters.
Right. True.
And so yeah, we went in. We we've been somewhat rebuilding ever since. The thing that's with any men's league team, with any standard men's league team that's frustrating is getting a consistent lineup to show up, and playing to our potential.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, we've had the same struggles getting guys to games. I think we mentioned this in the last episode talking with Dave. I was weeks away from folding the team for this upcoming season with how frustrated I was.
From folding the team. And I had to knock it back a few times.
Yeah. I'd be texting Pat during the week. I'm like, I can't fucking do this anymore. I've got 7 guys that say they're not coming this week. This guy's going fishing after he told me he was going to come to the game.
Yeah.
It's just the no call, no shows are the ones that really kill you too.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be like Friday. I haven't heard from a couple of guys and I'll just be like, can you just tell me if you're coming? Because if you're not, it's fine. I just need to find somebody to play for you.
Right.
Well, the guys that say, hey, I'm coming, and it's Sunday morning at 9:55, 5 minutes before first pitch, I got 8 guys there, and I'm like, texting somebody, I'm like, so are you coming to the game? Don't hear back from him. It's like 1 o'clock. He's like, oh, sorry, man, I overslept. It's like, oh, well, whatever.
Well, and that's the biggest thing. Like I talked to my dad a lot about, because he's always been my coach growing up, and so I talked to him about baseball a lot, and I'm like, yeah, I try to carry anywhere between 20 to 25 guys if I can, at least 20 at the minimum. He's like, wow, that's a lot. I'm like, it's really not.
Usually we've been carrying 15 to 16. I'm trying to get it up to closer to 18 to 20 this year, which I think we're at 17 or 18 if the season were to start today.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at too. I have 19 on the roster, but we're around 18 right now. I think that's where we're going to be at. But if we can get a couple more before the season starts, great. If we can't, whatever. I know the guys that I'm bringing back are the majority of the roster I've had for the last couple of years, so I know what to expect out of these guys.
That's great. Consistency is key.
Yeah.
This is going to be the first year where we've returned pretty much everybody. I think we are returning everybody that was playoff eligible last year.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we're missing
Giuseppe.
Jizzy.
Yeah.
And, that's it.
Yeah.
We didn't pay for the windshield, so he stopped showing up.
Yeah, I think we lost 5, but we gained. I think we gained 5 too. So I think we ended up breaking even with guys we got, and so yeah, I 2 years ago. Couple injuries, and kind of we just got through the year. Last year it was just another one of those errors and mental mistakes killed us. And that's the thing I always tell these guys from the beginning. I'm like, if you make an error on something that you're going all out for, whatever, shit happens. But if you're not paying attention and a ball's hit to you and you boot it or it goes between your legs, I'm gonna give you shit. Because like we're all like, yeah, this is men's league and we're all having fun, but I only have fun when I win. And that's for a lot of guys too that show up. The guys that show up consistently, that are playing ball every week, they are there to win and they want to play. That's the competitive, the only competitiveness that they have left in their lives is playing in men's league.
Yeah, I mean, with things like that, I'm always going to try and pump the tires up on this league a little bit, where I feel like the majority of the people here, especially on our team, like they show up, their main focus is to hang out with the guys, play some baseball, like chill out, relax, everything like that. But everyone there wants to win.
Right.
No one's going there with just be like, oh, I was going to end the game today and play and everything. Everyone's going like, I want to win.
Yeah.
But we're going to have fun too. Like,
right. Yeah. And even with the guys that show up every other week or show up sparingly, like they're there to win too. Yeah. And I completely get that altogether. But it's like when you're not playing at least every week, like, I mean, because we play a lot of baseball, but at the same time we don't.
Yeah.
Compared to what we did.
It's tough to get in a rhythm.
Yeah. The consistency isn't always there. So like, I know a lot of guys will complain about, oh, we've got to play Wednesday and then a doubleheader Sunday and then we play Thursday. That's a lot of baseball. I'm like, yeah, but really? By the time we get to that halfway through the second game or the third game of that stretch, then we're great. We're back to normal. We're playing ball again. We don't got to worry about all the stupid stuff that happens.
Well, and back playing in high school, I mean, you get 3-4 games a week, and
Yeah.
now, I mean, it feels like a lot of baseball now because we're all old and fat and out of shape.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
impossible, but it's impossible to stay hot. You could go 3 for 3 one weekend, and then I mean you might be off for a week and a half, and it's like, well, there's nothing there.
Yeah, and when
Yeah.
you get a rain out too, you're completely screwed.
Mhm.
Especially if you don't have any weeknight games in between those two Sundays. I mean, now you got 2 weeks off. Your pitchers haven't thrown at all because I mean, I don't know about you guys, but once the season starts, I don't go to the cages anymore. Just because it costs money, and B, we're just everybody's got too much going on. They usually only have 1 day a week to go out and do something.
So we don't practice, organized as a team. But last year, me and one of the guys that lives like 10 minutes away from me, every like Wednesday or Thursday night, would just go hit on our own just to kind of stay in a rhythm. He struggles at the plate a little bit, so it was also to help him try to, work on his swing. Yeah, he stinks.
Right.
He stinks at hitting. He knows it. We're working on it, but he's consistently getting better, which is good.
Yeah.
But we would,
No excuses.
no excuses. But so that's what we did last year to kind of stay in a rhythm. And like he was trying to work on things, and he's like, I can't throw good BP. I'm like, that's fine. Just throw me like front toss because I'm hitting well. I just want to keep swinging so I stay in a rhythm. I don't need to be facing curveballs and fastballs or whatever. Just let me swing.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I should have came and joined you guys because I went 0 for the month of June or July or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, you started coming later in the summer and you started hitting a little bit better.
I changed my bat too, but
It's all in the bat.
that's right. It's awesome.
I love when you miss a ball or something. You look at your glove. Like I always do that. Like, damn, this damn glove.
Pat does a hell of a lot of that.
Another hole in it.
Oh, this thing's not tied. I got it now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's the last 2 years since that 2017 team has been just trying to get this team built back up to where we were. Because the guys that have stuck around since then, we know where we were and what it takes to play in this league. And the league gets better and better every year. Yeah. I mean, just in these past few years that I've been playing, I mean, the competition level, I mean, you had a couple of teams that you knew, like when I first started, there was more than a couple teams that you're like, all right, yeah, like no problem. Like this team is not going to be that great. Yep. And then, but each year it's that amount of teams has become less and less. I mean, even now it's so competitive that you can't just go into a weekend and think, yeah, we're gonna win this game no matter what. Like even if I got all 9 guys that are out of position and 5 of them don't normally play all that much, like you still can't think that anymore. You can't think that way.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few teams, like I think it was the first doubleheader we had against the Dodgers last year, Chris. Like, we beat them pretty handily, right?
Yeah, I think it was fairly comfortable.
But then we play them again. We have a night game with them later in the season, and it was.
I think we only won that game because they showed up with 9. It was a night.
That's what I'm saying. It was a close game, and then we had a hard hit hopper down the third base line. It took the guy's eye out. Yeah,
the guy had to go to the hospital. They had to finish the game with 8 guys, and we just kind of started peppering center field where there was no outfielders.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It sucks to say because somebody got hurt, but you got to take advantage of that stuff. Yeah, you really do. And
especially against Colatino, like he was throwing well that night, and just kind of got better as the rest of the season went, and that screwed us come playoff time. But
right. Well, and that's the thing. You don't. I always try and take like the first 2 or 3 games, especially the past couple of years where I haven't really known my full lineup to start the season. The past couple of years, I've really tried to take the first 2 or 3 games and hopefully get scrimmages in before that, so I can try and figure guys out a little bit more. But yeah, well, obviously not this year, but like you really try and take those first couple of games and you know who the 5-6 guys that are gonna start and play every game.
Yeah.
And then after that, you just try and figure out what you can do to fill in the rest of the gaps. Because now that we don't have that 2017 team anymore, we have to fill in gaps everywhere. We have to try and pick up somebody that is even if I've had a couple guys that We're like, yeah, I play infield. And then I try him out in the outfield. And I'm like, well, guess what? You're playing outfield now because you're much better in the outfield.
I've always
been a
huge proponent too of you can always take an infielder and put him in the outfield.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You can't always take an outfielder and put him in the infield.
Almost, it's like maybe 10% of the time an outfielder is good in the infield.
And if they're coming in from the outfield to play the infield, it's generally either first or third base.
correct.
Right, exactly. And, you know, two of those guys, those are just the athletes. I mean, those are just the guys that can play every sport and do whatever they want. Connor and Nick, they are my full-time left field and center field guys.
Which they should be.
Right. And that's the thing. They're good enough to play any position on the field. I will not move them from those spots because those are two very key spots.
I think you should put Connor at second base. It would be hilarious.
Yeah. He played shortstop for us a couple times. And
6'8" middle infielder.
Yeah, exactly. Got a lot of range over there.
Say so.
But it's funny because Nick, whenever we take IO, Nick will come in and play third and for IO, and you just look at him, you're like shit, I could play you a third too, but I'm not going to because you're so unbelievably fast and you track every single ball down in the outfield. I could play with two outfielders with him. Like he is that fast.
Super frustrating hitting a ball into the outfield with them there.
Yeah.
Generally, I'm like, ooh, that's just over second base. It's gonna fall, and then I was like, no, it's not.
And he's already camped under it every single time. Like it doesn't matter where it is. It could be so far over his head when it leaves the bat, and he's just, by the time the ball's in the outfield, he's already ready, camped under. He's not really running anymore because he's already to that spot. He's just
must be nice to trust your outfielders to catch the ball.
Yeah, that's the thing too, because we've struggled with a right fielder the past couple of years. I know Connor and Nick. I really could play without a right fielder if I wanted to.
You're gonna play with a rover?
Yeah, seriously. But that's been the biggest thing is I've been trying to fill in that right field spot, and I think this year, I think you guys have a little. You met him before, Jake Warsawski. He was going to try out for you guys.
Yep. He did come to hit with us once last year, and then he's like, nah, I'm not going to Plymouth. And I said, I don't blame you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because he lives in Arlington. That's a hike.
Yep.
So, yeah, he played – he's an infielder when he came with us. And then he had a couple errors, but he's a good infielder. But I have, 5 second basemen. I'm sick and tired of picking up second baseman.
That's how we feel with first baseman.
7 first baseman.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So I'm like, I need somebody out and right. So I tried him out and right the last couple of games. He's great. He's great up there. So he's probably going to play a lot of right field for us. We got another kid coming off. He tore his ACL. John Gailey. He was a pickup that we had a couple years ago. He can play right field for us. He does a good job. He played college ball at D3 somewhere. He plays some first base too, so he's another guy that I can stick over on the right side.
Did he play for you last year?
So last year he had his torn ACL, so he was out. I was gonna say,
I mean, he's on your roster. He just doesn't have any stats. So I didn't know if.
Yeah, because I was kind of hoping because it was one of those flag football non-contact injuries, so I was kind of hoping since it was so early that I might be able to squeeze him in at the end of the year. But he just didn't recover from it. I mean, it took him a while, which I don't blame him. I would if I tore my ACL last February, I'd still be out. It wouldn't matter.
Athletic career would probably be over.
Yeah, and Mike Ryan, I've talked to you guys about Mike a lot. He's one of those guys. He was out all last year because he slipped a disc and tore his hamstring at the end of 2017.
Jesus.
So he used to be our full-time catcher. He's an unbelievable backstop. He's got a good arm, and he knows how. He's one of the best game callers I've seen. He's a great catcher, but his back is all screwed up. His hamstring's all screwed up. So he's going to play third for us a lot this year. Second base,
demanding position though for.
Well, and that's the thing because I always tell him, I'm like, don't overdo it.
Compared to outfield.
Me and T play third base. It's not that demanding.
I know I play third place sometimes too. So.
You know what I mean?
It's like this guy used to be a shortstop. I can't move anymore. Stick him at third.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You were never a shortstop.
When I was like 9 years old, I was. I've been a
I know,
third
me
baseman
too.
ever
I was the
since.
same way.
Your dad coach?
No.
Coach's kid always plays short. That's why.
Yeah. It's I played shortstop when I was 9, then moved over to third and catcher, and then now I'm ending my career at first.
It's a natural progression.
Yeah, exactly. That's how Nomar did it. So, but yeah, so Mike's gonna play a lot of third for us. He'll EH a little bit too, because Alex, when he's not pitching, he'll play short and third. Alex McEwen, both of them are great defensively. So having Mike back this year is gonna help a lot, especially defensively where we struggled. We had like 7 losses in a row in the middle of the summer that just absolutely killed us, and all because of errors.
Yeah.
Like I think there was one game we had like 4 or 5 legitimate errors, and that is like the most miserable thing to watch, is just game after game. Like I always think of the quote, and you guys ever seen The Replacements with Keanu Reeves?
You have.
Yep.
That quote where he talks about quicksand,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just like, one bad thing happens, then another bad thing happens, and
That's
then
your biggest fear?
yeah, it's the biggest fear right there.
Well,
And
my favorite line on what's your biggest fear definitely comes from Moneyball, though.
The ball being hit in my general direction.
What's your biggest fear? The ball being hit in my general direction. It's funny. No, seriously.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah. And
But
yeah, go ahead.
But like, it's very, in lack of better words, refreshing to hear you kind of say that stuff where kind of errors can cost you and everything like that, because our teams are built very similarly.
Yeah.
Where we have a lot of defensive errors that bother us and ruin perfect games and things like that. And it was the first inning though, right?
No, it's like the 4th.
Oh, whatever.
It was the bottom of the 7th.
Oh, no, the game didn't go 7.
Colorado.
I'll just put it this way. Earhart threw a no-hitter and didn't win pitcher of the week. I'll let you guess who we were playing. Anyways, continue.
But, I mean, we always seem to be very close to each other in not only the standings, but I know we're in different leagues. I mean, different divisions this year. But like looking at last year, we both hit high 280s for average as a team.
Right.
We hit 286 because we're better, and you hit 285.
I think that panned out in the record.
And then for pitching stats, ERA, we have some solid pitchers like in Earhart and Nashwaty and stuff like that. We had a 213, but you guys still had. I mean, you had a low 3.26. Like,
right.
And that's with, I think I said last time, that's with like Connor Marr being eligible for ERA. He had a 14 ERA because he pitched 1 inning. You being eligible for ERA because you pitched 1 inning and got a
big
0.
old goose egg.
So I mean, those numbers can be a little inflated there, but
right.
I think we both kind of fall in the middle of this league.
Yeah, absolutely.
Corey, the way that we like to describe our team to people who ask about it is we are incredibly mediocre. Very, very slightly above average.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
Kyle's best man speech at your wedding.
I think Kyle got that from me for his speech.
But yeah, we I know for our pitching staff in particular, Joey's our workhorse.
Mhm.
Joey Atanasio. Everybody knows him. Everybody's seen his stuff.
Now, I don't think we've seen him, have we, Chris?
Not in a game, no. I've seen him pitch in the All-Star game, but we've seen we saw DeLowry, we saw I think it was Aaron Jamal that we faced last year.
Yeah.
I don't remember who we faced the first year. But
Lowry dealt against us. Was it opening day last year?
2 years ago was our second game.
Yeah.
We were fortunate, and Tim Bellinger was just better that day.
Yeah,
it was a rainy, cold, raw day up in Lexington. I think we were one of 2 games to actually play that day because we were starting late.
Everyone
and
rained
dried
out
a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that was Pat's first game of the year because he had missed the first one, but he went like 2 for 2 with a walk or something. I think I had our only other hit, and we ended up winning 2-0.
Yeah.
That kid's nasty.
Yeah. He's one of those guys that you hope to God he shows up because you never know what his schedule is. He's all over the place. He lives in a different spot every year. He's kind of all over the place. So we didn't actually have him at all last year.
Now, he's a righty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does have some movement though.
He's a hard throwing righty with good breaking stuff.
It's not a straight fastball.
No.
No, I like to think of him kind of like a men's league Chris Sale righty, because he's got like a crazy, not a crazy motion, but he just puts.
He comes way out here.
Yeah, he comes way out, and he's just like, he kind of looks like he's going to be all over the place, but then he just throws with everything he has.
Yeah.
And he'll walk 3 guys, and then he'll strike the next 3 out.
Yeah.
And like he throws a stupid amount of pitches. If he can handle it, whatever. He's one of those. He's one of those guys that I don't care what his pitch count is. I go off what he says, because I know what he can handle. I've seen what he can handle, and you just let him go until he can't. And 9 times out of 10, there isn't a time where he can't go. He's just one of those rare case men's leaguers where his arm still works great.
That's kind of what we got with Earhart. He doesn't throw hard, but he can pitch forever. He throws strikes, and he's got a good curveball, and that's how he's successful.
Exactly. And that's the thing with Chris. His best pitch is not his fastball. He throws low to mid 80s probably, but his best pitch is his curveball. He's got a 12-6 curveball is devastating.
The only reason I got a hit off him the one time we faced him is because he hung me a curveball. I was like, oh, thank you very much. And I just short swing dumped it into right field. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. But he's a great talent. I hope we can get him back more often this year. Joey, he's going to be he's a guy that I know I can count on every week. He's going to be there every week. I can put him in any role. I can start him. I can bring him in middle innings. I can close him. Doesn't matter. He's going to go out there. He's going to throw hard, and he's another one with a ton of movement. He's got that natural lefty movement on his ball. Yeah. That even a 4-seam looks like a 2-seam every time whenever he throws it.
Hard pass.
Alex McEwen's going to be another one that he's been a workhorse for us. Like I said earlier, he throws the ball well, but hit him and Aaron Jamal. He's another one that he's on our pitching staff. Our 3 main guys are going to be Joey, Alex, and Aaron. So we actually have another kid that we got back last year, Tommy Scalisi. He was a part of that 2017 team. He's a great pitcher. A lot of people don't remember him because Chris outshadowed him every other game. But Tommy was one of those guys. I think he was somewhere in the 2s for the year, maybe even less than 2. I can't remember exactly what he did, but he had a great season in 2017. I want to pull that up because
you want me to say it?
Yeah.
ERA for Tom?
Yeah.
He had a 6.
In 2017, Pat?
No, I'm looking last year.
391.
2017.
Okay. So he had a 391 over 28 2/3. Kyle Knoll had the 6. But he's one of those guys that he's a great pitcher, and he hurt his arm in the off season before last year, and so we're trying to get him back. We got him on the mound for a few innings last year to get him going again. But he's one of those guys that if I can get his arm going again, then that just adds a lot of great depth for us. I'm hoping that since we got him going again last year, that he can come out this year and be ready to go. Him and Aaron are best friends, so they always throw with each other like every other day. So I'm confident that they'll both be ready to go. And then after that, pitching wise, I mean, it's just Connor can throw. He throws to his height, though. That's his problem. Yeah, but Connor's one of those guys. He throws the ball really hard, but most people that are average height that are around 6 feet, he hits your letters.
Come on, man.
You know what I mean?
Hey, you'll draw a lot of walks. It's fine.
Around 6 feet. You're around 6 feet.
He sure isn't, Corey.
Plus or minus,
Plus or minus half a foot.
Yeah. But Connor, because I don't want Connor to pitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to waste him on the mound. He doesn't need to be there. And another surprise that throws really well, doesn't throw hard, but he's got a good curveball is Nick Valdario. I mean, he throws pretty well. I was shocked. He's always like, I want to pitch. I'm like, you're so good in the outfield. Like, I don't want to move you from there. But then there's weekends where you don't have any depth and you're just like, all right, get out there. And then he got out there and surprised me, and then he earned his opportunities on the mound. So him and Connor will see time out there. I'll get out there for my my yearly inning, and won't be able to throw again for the next 3 weeks after that.
There you go.
And yeah, we'll put it all together. We'll make it work, and as long as we play to our potential, we'll be right there.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you got a good squad coming back, and bolstering the lineup and everything with those guys that are returning from injuries. Things. I mean, it sounds like you're gonna. Unfortunately, like I said before, I don't think that you're ever gonna capture what you had with when all those guys in the Marlins were with you. But
yeah,
this is a step in the right direction. That's good to see.
Yeah,
especially in a tough division with the Gators and the Marlins. You guys need to kind of stock up a little bit to compete with those guys. The Marlins are, I think they finished first in the North last year. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
I think so.
They were really good last year, and then the Gators are always, they're always one of the top teams that are around. So
the Marlins, first because we
the Gators. The Gators are one of those teams that I don't think they play above their potential. I think they're an older group now, but they've a lot of them have been playing together for a while, so they know what they're doing. They got a good team over there.
Yeah, I mean with Watkins, Perkins, and who's the guy that likes to yap? Ricky Garth on the mound.
Yeah.
And they've got a good pitching staff, and then
Yeah.
Watkins at the plate just absolutely mashes. So
yeah, they got another kid too, Kyle something. I forget, Kyle O'Neill maybe.
Sounds familiar, but I don't know.
He's a lefty they got. Maybe I can't remember. But he's good too. He threw against us a couple of times. He throws the ball hard. They got a good team. Perkins is one of those guys too that you get so frustrated against because
he's a junk baller. He should be able to hit him, and then you just can't. Everything moves in a different direction.
Exactly. Like he doesn't throw hard, and I think that's one of those things. Like the guys that don't know him, they watch him warm up, and they're like, "We're gonna tattoo this guy." Yeah. And then they don't touch him the whole game. They go over against him because
it's a lot like Mark Inferno. He just makes everything dance.
Exactly. And Mark's one of those guys that's going to help the Giants out a lot this year. Yeah. I mean, not to mention they added all the Rough Riders there.
Yeah.
But
they're going to be a good team.
Yeah, they're going to be really good. And adding Inferno back to that group, getting Kimber healthy again in the middle of their order.
Surrett too on the mound. I don't think he pitched much for them last year.
Yeah, Surrett's another one. Mark Blake's another one for them that throws really well.
I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm very excited to see like a Cubs Giants matchup.
Yeah. No, I think that would be a good one because the Giants, they have 50 guys on their roster every year, and they have the same 20 show up to every game.
Yeah,
and
it's crazy how consistently they get.
Yeah, exactly. They always have the biggest lineups in the world, and I swear to God, Roberts has to go in there every week to activate and deactivate people.
Probably.
Because there's so many people in that roster.
Fortunately, we don't have that issue.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I never have to worry about that.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about my September call-ups.
I keep my brother who lives in Arkansas for grad school on my rosters because we got room.
Yeah. Why not, right?
Didn't we have Pijanowski on the roster too last year?
What was that?
Didn't we have Pijanowski on the roster for like 2 years?
He was inactive because he was on the DL, but yeah.
But yeah, in Inferno, I've talked to him a few times. I played against him in 28s. I played with the Minutemen in Lexington, out of Lexington, for a couple games. I always go, yeah, I'll make what I can, but we both play every Sunday morning. Yeah. So I end up making 2 or 3 games in the year.
Well, Pat and I are both eligible to play 28s now because we're both 27, turning 28 this year. So I thought about reaching out to the Bay State Pirates who just moved into the MABL's 28 plus. And like looking at the schedules from last year, I'm like, that's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
So we decided on Rhode Island.
Yeah, we're going to play in a Rhode Island league if that happens. But
yeah, I know. I'm not ready to give up on 18 plus ball. I still think
it was going to be supplemental for us. It's just like I want to get more at bats.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things for me. Like I know I got a home when I'm done.
Yeah.
So I've met a lot of guys in the 28s now that I can jump on a team pretty easily out there. Yeah. So I'm not too worried about that. But like with Inferno, he'll throw you a curveball for every pitch, and he's got a great curveball, and he doesn't care what the count is. he'll throw. He doesn't throw very hard anymore. He's got good speed still, but his curveball is just not many people touch it.
I'll tell you one thing. He's a bitch to catch.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I caught him the CABL Classic. Well, I walked to the backstop while he was pitching. It did not show the fact that I've actually caught before. But what happened was, like, I'd be like, all right, fastball. And he'd throw me a fastball. And it would tail a little bit. And I'd be like, okay, I got it. Then I'd be like, all right, fastball again. And it would go the other way. I was like, what the hell is happening now?
See, so we played with the Rough Riders in the CABL Classic last year. And Eric Baca is normally their catcher.
Yeah.
Well, Eric Baca was on his honeymoon, I believe. So
that
we
hurts.
didn't have any catchers on the roster. So you're looking at the 2 catchers for the Rough Riders during that tournament last year.
Yeah.
And Earhart pitched game 1. So Dave's like, hey, do you want to catch game 2? I said, well, when's Jason pitching? He goes, game 1. I said, why don't you throw me in there game 1?
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll let Pat deal with the other guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I throw a guy out.
Probably not.
There you go. Not many people can say that in this league.
I don't think I did. I don't remember.
I did. I pimped it, too. It was the 3rd out of the inning. I threw it, and as soon as I threw it, I started walking off the field. I'm like, I got him.
And I know Dave talked about Baca on your last episode a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He is hands down the best catcher in this league.
I think so,
yeah. I haven't seen anybody that's matches up to him.
Yeah, we're very fond of our catcher Cam. He's very good as well. But I mean, Baca mashes the ball. I have never seen a ball get by him, and he has.
Yeah. He's unbelievable. I mean, he caught. I think he caught both games of the doubleheader. We played against them last year. He might have caught just one. Because they didn't really need the wins. They were already well into the playoffs at that point. But just watching him I love watching great baseball players, and he's one of those guys that a lot of appreciation for a guy that can still do it, especially at this age, this level, that he could play anywhere he wanted to, any men's league, and start on any men's league team as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I mean, I love watching great baseball players too, as long as they're not playing against us.
Preferably.
But yeah, I mean, we did talk about it before. The Giants are going to be stacked this year, and it's definitely going to be tough up there in the north with them. And, I mean, we also think the same about the Cubs in the South. Like we think hands down probably going to be the best team out of the South. And then the Mariners, Royals, ourselves, and the Black Sox, pushing for those other seats.
Yeah.
But the Central, like, I mean, the Marlins are good, but kind of open.
Yep.
Right.
There's a lot of unknown.
Yeah, because I'm still very friendly with all those guys. They're not getting Grofey back, from what I've heard. Mm-hmm. I've also heard Taka's not coming back. I know he's on the roster still, but I've heard he's gone.
Yeah, we're not too sure because, I mean, like we said, he's listed on the roster. We can know with a pitcher what's going to happen. So
yeah, exactly, and that's all he does. You know, he's one of those kids too that I was telling you guys before. I caught him in the cages, and he was hitting too. He doesn't hit for the Marlins, but he's a great hitter. But they don't need him. That's one of the things. Like they just got but yeah, exactly. They got a bunch of guys that mash over there.
Yeah, we can pitchers hit. Because we have 9 guys at games.
Yeah. We have pitchers hit a lot more often than we'd like to.
Yeah, we used to back in the good old days of 2017. We'd have a EH/DH every game. Didn't matter who was pitching.
Yeah.
They would always get DH for. But now there's guys that I put on the mound that I'm like, I can't afford to have you out of the batting lineup.
Yeah.
Like we need those guys.
Oh no, we'd prefer to have our pitchers out of the batting lineup. We just don't get enough guys to show up.
Well, that same with us. I prefer to have them out of the lineup, but like Alex is a good hitter for us. Aaron's one of our top players. I'm not going to take either of those guys out of the lineup because, especially we don't always have enough guys. We don't necessarily have a good enough DH to fill in every weekend. And B, they're two guys that when they're not pitching, they're in the lineup anyway. So
what we're trying to say is that we will do anything in our power to make sure that they don't have to hit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Earhart gets like 12 at bats a season and somehow scratches out like 3 or 4 hits, but the rest of Jake can hit. Christian like refuses to swing the bat if he's at the plate. He's either going to get hit, take a walk, or strike out.
And Joey
Have you seen him swing the bat?
I don't think so. I've seen him bunt.
He's a great punter.
He is a pretty good punter.
And Joey is one of those guys for us too. Joey's not a hitter.
Yeah.
But he can hit if I put him in there. So and he was one of those guys. I'm like, Joey, you're pitching today, obviously, but you're gonna bat at the bottom of the lineup. Just don't get hurt. But he still went out there, and I think there was the first 3 or 4 games that he hit. He got a hit every at bat, and then. But like it was just one of those freak things, and because the year or two before he got 2 at bats and 2 broken bats, we got lucky where he was hitting well for us when we needed him to. So it's nice to know that our pitchers can hit if we need to.
Pitchers are athletes too.
Exactly, whether they are or not, they'll tell you they are. But yeah, I think kind of back to the Central a little bit, like with the Marlins, you're going to get out of them. They got with Nick Powers. I guess they got some other kid coming out of college that's a really good pitcher that's supposedly going to replace Taka, from what I've heard. If Taka's not on the team, if Taka's on the team, then everybody's in a lot of trouble because then they have 4 really good pitchers. I mean, Jovan Henriquez, he's a great pitcher for them. He's Mr. Consistency. I've talked to Manny a lot about him. He used to throw really hard. He's had a couple arm injuries, and he still throws like 75, high 70s, low 80s some days. Like, imagine having an arm injury and still throwing 80. Like, I used to touch high 70s when I was like in my prime, ready to go, and now I'm just like.
I used to touch.
I think I'd be lucky to break 65 at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only time I touch 70 is in my car now. that's about it.
I like to think my exit velo can get there when I hit.
Yeah, but and even without Groffy, they still got Nick, they still got John Art Gessinger, they still got Ricky Mendez, they still got Manny, they still got a stacked lineup for power. But they're one of those teams. Teddy Mercado is another one. He made the All-Star game last year. He's another one that hits the shit out of the ball. They still got a great group of power hitters. But with that, they are – if they're in the game, they're going to put up double-digit runs.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys, if something goes wrong for them, then they just get their heads completely out of the game. And so they're a group that has unlimited potential men's league wise, but if they aren't all together or they're missing a couple of guys, then they got a completely different team altogether.
Yeah.
So as long as they have the guys show up, which is like most teams, then they'll probably be number 1 in our division. It's going to be I do think it's going to be us and the Gators in 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Saying that, I don't know anything about this Watertown team that's coming into the league. From what I've heard, they're going to be good. Everybody says they're going to be good, so who knows? And then, yeah, I say we're going to be good every year. Never know what we're going to get.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, and then the Dodgers, you don't know what you're going to get out of them either. They started off slow and they finished really hot. And they could easily finish. As far as I'm concerned, after the Marlins, any of the other 4 teams, it could finish any way in the standings. They really could. We could be at the bottom and the Dodgers could be second, or the Gators could be at the bottom. Who knows? The Gators are another one of those teams too, just like every other men's league team. If they don't have their guys show up, then you never know what's going to happen.
So going back to the Dodgers, they're probably a number 2 pitcher away from being a 14-win team.
Yeah.
They've got Colatino, who's probably going to win them 8, 9, 10 games or whatever, but they don't have a lot after him, which is, I think, what does them in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, it is nice to hear that there's a lot of competition in the divisions this year, but I'm actually gonna. So Corey, I know you were saying before being in Maine and everything, before you moved to Boston, you Now, you were an umpire up in Maine, or did you umpire here at all as well?
No, not down here. I want to get back into it. I've just
Yeah.
kind of focused on playing men's league since I've been down here. Yeah, I was on the Western Maine board for 2 or 3 years when I lived in Maine.
Okay. So I know we mentioned this last time in the long ago.
Yeah.
That Chris and I we're also on the South Shore board as well. Chris is actually the umpire liaison for the board this year, right?
Yeah, I'm supposed to be in touch with Walter. I haven't actually talked to him, which I should probably talk to him and be like, hey, so we're not starting on time, which I'm
Yeah.
sure you know, but
Yeah.
Well, Nick will let you know.
it's true. He'll remind me. But I guess going off that, Corey, how does that influence the way that you interact with umpires in games? Does it make you, angrier when they miss calls or screw something up, or are you more sympathetic to be like, I've been there?
I think a lot of it depends on the situation for me, because I get really frustrated when I see guys that are just there and just mailing it in, just there for the quick $85 and don't really care.
Yeah.
Like that's what's the most frustrating part is when you see something happen and they make a call that's not even a rule.
Yeah.
I think that's what's most frustrating about it to me. Like, what we talked about before, there was a Marlins game. It was one of our double header games. This guy behind the plate, I don't even know his name. Doesn't matter. But we were playing against Taka, so it was already tough enough to hit the ball as it was. And so I struck out swinging on a ball that was in the dirt. Hit the dirt. The catcher backhanded it and fielded it cleanly. So I started taking off for first because first base was open. And then the umpire is like, no, you're out. And I get to first. I touch first just to make sure, in case he decided not to be a moron, that I was still going to be safe. And then I'm like, I turn around, I go, what are you talking about? I was like, that ball was in the dirt. Like, first base was open. It's less than 2 outs. Like, I'm here. It doesn't matter. And he's like, no, the catcher fielded it cleanly. I'm like, so? It
Still
doesn't
bounce.
matter. Yeah, I'm like, I don't care what he did after it bounced.
Touch the ground.
Yeah, I'm like, he's like, oh no, he fielded it cleanly. I'm like, well, can we ask for help? He's like, well, you can ask for help, but I'm not changing my mind. I'm like, that's not a rule, right? Like, that is like, I can run to first swinging on strike 3 if it goes in the dirt. Like, that is like been a rule in baseball in all levels since day one. Like, what are we doing here? And so, of course, I'm out still. The game went on and all that stuff. But that was with our umpire feedback form, that's the only time I've ever filled out a form that I know I should probably fill them out more, giving positive reviews and stuff like that. I just don't. Nobody really.
I don't think any of us do.
You never remember the good ones.
Exactly. You remember the bad calls.
Exactly.
That stick with you.
So, I luckily the board at the time and listened to my review, and I never saw the guy again. But I literally just lit him up in this like a page-long write-up. And I was just like, I never ever want to see this guy umpiring one of my games again.
So when we played you guys last year, Corey, I don't know if you remember, probably not, because you guys won the game, so it probably didn't bother you as much. But I just remember the umpire that day being incredibly inconsistent, terrible strike zone. I was just very frustrated, especially because we started rough last year. After we lost that game, we went to 3-6, and I was just so pissed with the way the season was going. So I remember in the last inning, we were trying to mount a little comeback, and one of our pitchers was hitting, who can't fucking hit. So he gets to a 3-0 count. It was a ball in the dirt. He had started to toss his bat, and the umpire calls it a strike. And I'm standing at third base, and I was like, it's not a strike just because it's 3-0 and he threw it near the plate. Right. Anyways, he ended up walking. We ended up losing the game. We go through the handshake line, and we're circling back, and I was like, all right, Chris, good game. So thanks, man. You probably want to work on your strike zone a little bit. And he's like, and just walked away. I was like, we're going to see that guy a lot more because he's a self-umpire. So
exactly.
I was like, hey, man, I'm sorry about that. Like, oh, I get it. You were mad. I get it. I was like, okay, thank God.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the only thing that really pisses me off is when guys just clearly A, don't want to be there, or B, just don't know the rules.
Yeah.
Like strike zones, unless they're completely crazy, I don't freak out too much about.
Yeah.
I always try and tell my guys, listen, this is his strike zone. As long as it stays like that, I don't care where it is.
Yep.
If we know where it is, then we're fine.
Yep. Call it consistently, call it both ways.
Exactly. That's all I ask, and it's really not much to ask.
Agreed.
And that's the guys that I think in the past we've had a tough time with some guys that know a couple of teams in our league that have dealt with a couple of bad days. And I really don't think there's any bad guys in our league. Not really anymore. I know like the old Expos, Leonelli used to lose his mind on every single umpire, and it didn't matter.
I think he told an umpire he hoped he got hit by a car on the way home or something like that.
Yep. They were playing us that day. I remember it was unbelievable. The whole place just went silent. It might have been a different time. He could have said it again at another time.
Well, he was suspended for the next 2 games, which was a doubleheader against us. And I remember getting a message from, I think, Antonellis. He was like, "Hey, just check it. Antonelli's not at your game today, right?" I was like, "Nope, he's not here."
Yeah.
Huh?
Leonelli. You said
Leonelli. Sorry, I got him confused. I mashed his name up with Tim.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, he absolutely lost it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're all trying not to laugh, but I mean, because the things he was saying was just so over the top ridiculous that you're just like, I would never ever say that to an umpire. I would never ever say that to anybody. Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't just say that stuff to anyone. Like, I don't care if they're your worst enemy. You just walk away. Like, it's men's league when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Like, just chill. But he was one of those guys that had a history of it. So he's one of those weird cases. And I know the Giants have gotten into it with some umpires and stuff. But I think the problem we had last year with the board is that a lot of those guys, not all of them, because we still had most of our games were fine, but a lot for us anyway. But a lot of those guys knew about the history of some of these teams and just went in and assumed that it was like that for the whole league.
So I think you're referring to the Yankees because Will Medina got thrown out, I think, all the time.
Yeah, Will got thrown out.
He's probably the all-time ejections leader in the CABL, if I had to guess.
And you know what's funny about Will? Will is one of the nicest guys in the world.
Yeah,
like,
very nice guy off the field.
Yeah, I got to be really friendly with him off the field. We talk a lot, and he is literally one of the nicest guys there is. But he is very passionate. It's for damn sure.
Yep.
And you know, it hurt me last year because I got tossed last year, and didn't swear at the guy, didn't do anything. He clearly was having a bad day from the get-go. And I can't remember what happened. I think it was just a really bad call. And he was out of position, and it's just not a call he should have made. He shouldn't have made an out call on that play because the guy, A, was clearly safe, and B, he just couldn't see it. He should have asked for help. And I know, and it's tough for a lot of umpires, like being an umpire, you don't want to ask for help on your own. You kind of feel like that's your call. Like, I'm making that call, that in my head, that's the right call. Because you just don't want to, right or wrong. I think sometimes as an umpire, if you make a call, you don't want to go back on it, whether you know that it's right or wrong. You want to make sure that you're enforcing the game. Yep. Some guys take that to heart too much, and they just go over the top. So this guy in particular, I was coaching third. Our guy was clearly safe. He called him out. I go, how can you make that call from where you are? No swears, no nothing. Yeah, I yelled across the field, but everybody yells across the field.
Oh, yeah.
Second inning, you're out. I'm like, what? And there was another one of those situations, only the completely opposite end of the spectrum. Everybody went silent. We're playing the Rockies that day. Like, Mike Crimmins and Nate McLeod, they're like, oh my God. Like, I can't, like, everybody was just shocked. And Nate comes right over to me. He's like, man, we got your back on this one. Like, don't worry about it. Like you'll be like, we know you did nothing wrong. And I'm like, oh, I appreciate that. I mean, it is what it is now, but that's the tough thing with umpires sometimes. I know like last year, especially, we really harped on don't say a word to the umpires, like really try and keep your mouth shut if you can, just because we knew, the board knew, the managers knew that they were going to have a quick hook just because of the relationship we had.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you're in the heat of the game, you can't help it. I've been there. We've all been there. So you're going to speak up sometimes. Now we've had like some guy, I always try and tell my guys at the beginning of the game, and this is probably like a broken record, but I'm like, don't say a damn word to these umpires. I'll handle it. Like whether I'm right or wrong, I will handle it. Like, don't worry about it, because you're probably going to get tossed, and I'm probably not going to have your back if you say something stupid. Like, just because everybody else that was there know that you did something stupid. So just don't be an idiot about it. Keep your mouth shut no matter how bad of a call it is. But still, you go into these games expecting to get quality umpiring, and sometimes you don't get it. And I don't want to make it sound like it happens all the time, because it certainly doesn't. I mean,
Right.
75 to 80% of our games are fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about anything. Everybody's having a good time. There's a lot of great umpires out there that have been at all sorts of different levels, that know what they're doing, know what they're watching. But then, like, there's one in every crowd. You're always going to get one or two games every year that's just this one guy's just having a bad day. Somebody on your team's having a bad day or whatever, and you just end up going back and forth. And that's what everybody remembers. You always remember the bad situations. And sometimes you just look like an idiot, and sometimes they just look like idiots. And so I think being on both sides of it, you just got to know, like, this is a men's league. We're all people. We all have day jobs. Like, just try and treat people the way you want to be treated. Like, and I think that got lost a couple of times. Huh?
The parenting tips from Corey Schwartz.
Yeah, exactly. just really try and be a good guy about it. Don't be a shithead about it.
Yeah.
And because we're all getting up and going to work on Monday, and we're all going to forget about it in 15 minutes once the game ends anyway. Sometimes.
I won't forget about it, but I'll let it go.
Yeah. Let it go. That's a good way to say it.
But like, being on that other side, I mean, you definitely have those conversations with umpires. I know some umpires, and I referee hockey too, so some of their best lines are, "Oh, you're terrible at this. You shouldn't be doing this." And be like, "Yeah, I am terrible at it. That's why I'm doing this game. If I was good at this, I'd be going to like do like Cranberry League and stuff like that."
Right.
So I mean, I get that, and I love that comeback from umpires.
That's pretty good.
Like, at the same time, we are paying a decent amount of money. I mean, it's not fantastic, but it's
paying $170 for one game to have two guys there. Like
$5 per umpire per game. I mean, it's pretty good. I know a lot of other leagues aren't doing that, but you just want some professionalism out of them. And obviously, there's a lot of talk going around about going like to the sky judge for baseball and everything like that, which I think it's kind of stupid. Like, it's really weird to be like, this computer is going to call balls and strikes. I mean, you can't argue and everything like that, but like,
I like the human elements of the game. It adds something to the game of baseball.
You're taking out a really big aspect to baseball as a whole.
It's a game of failure and imperfection, and I think that umpires help to encapsulate that.
Baseball especially is one of those games where you fail more often than you succeed, because if we were all succeeding all the time, all of our batting average would be 1,000.
Exactly.
So I mean, there's
That's
definitely
like Andrew Ricky's the only player in the history of the league that succeeded more times than he failed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's true.
But then just the reason we wanted to bring stuff up with these the umpire issues and stuff with you, Corey, was that not because we knew that you umpired, unless we learned that a few days ago, but you were pretty vocal about the vote this year of the suspension rules for being ejected and everything. So to put completely honestly, and out of ignorance myself, was like, oh, he must have been tossed a lot, so he wants to fix this. But hearing that it was just one time, again with Crimmins and Nate and things like that, like, what was that whole issue like? Because we know you don't want to get suspended right away.
Yeah.
We were pretty vocal about that during those meetings, but
Yeah.
maybe kind of what is the actual rule, Chris?
First ejection is a warning. Any ejection is subject to additional discipline given the nature of the ejection. But first ejection is a written warning. Second ejection, minimum 1 game suspension or automatic 1 game suspension. Third ejection, you're done for the season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I like that rule. I don't have a problem with it. I just think with my situation in particular, the board had gotten the same story from all 3 parties involved. They got the story from me, they got the story from the Rockies, and they got the story from the umpires. It was the same. Like, nobody was lying, nobody was embellishing anything. Umpires embellished a little bit on their end because I heard the umpire's story a little bit, and I'm like, come on, guys.
Because they want to justify why they ejected you.
Right, exactly. But even then, it really wasn't that embellished at the same time. So it really, there's nothing that was far off. Then the original ruling that came down for me was a game. And then obviously I was going to fight that because I knew what happened. The Rockies knew what happened. Then I found out there was somebody on the board that had some Braves ties originally at one point who wanted, it was 2 games. And I'm like, how could you say that? Like, looking at all 3 sides of the story here, how could you even think that? I know how he could think it, but like, how could you rationally think it? And but it was 2 games. No, we're doing this. And then there's another guy that still wanted me to have a game. And I'm like, guys, like, are we serious here? Like, are we looking at this? Like, 3 of the board members, very rational about it. They're like, that's stupid. They're not giving you a game. But then, like, the fact that I had to go in and fight to not get 1 game suspended because of that situation, I'm just like, guys, like, come on. Like, you're basically saying you don't trust the managers to tell you the proper story, and you're only trusting the umpire, which in this case was the same story as ours. And I think a part of it was just they were so sick of the board, I think, felt like we were being shitheads.
Yeah, I was going to say
the umpires were saying to them.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, do you feel like you were kind of the person that had to take that punishment for other people's?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't want to stand on a soapbox here too much about it, but it's like, why it sucks, like, when you are made an example of when the situation is just completely overblown. Yeah, exactly. And I know everybody's gone through that at some point in their lives, and everybody, whatever the situation is, like, it sucks to be made an example of when you know you're not in the wrong and other people say you're not in the wrong. Yeah. And so that's why I was so vocal about it in the off season. And everybody knows the story now, all the managers, and because I've told it multiple times now to everyone. And that's why I just wanted to make sure, like you need to trust these managers that you got in your league, because I mean, our teams are what make up the league. Like, you need to trust the guys that are in your league. We're all adults here. Whether some guys act like it or not, the 99% of us are all great guys that are just out there to have fun and play ball and be competitive. Yeah. And trust the guys that you got in your league, because that's what makes this league. That's what keeps guys coming. That's what keeps teams coming into the league when we lose teams. We always lose teams, so we always want to keep gaining teams when we lose them. We always want to have a waiting list of teams that are trying to get into our league every year. We want to be able to go through new teams and approve and deny, rather than say, well, we got to fill this quota here, so we're just taking everybody here. Yeah, like so that's what's really frustrating about it. It just made me feel like well, you don't trust the guys that you got.
So hopefully with I know it's not really a rule change, but hopefully with this discussion, things like that get ironed out. Just going back, wrapping up with what we had. I mean, like we said, we looks like you're going to have a good squad this year.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear a little bit more of the in-depth conversations on a few of these guys and the background of the Braves and everything like that. It's a lot of it we didn't know until Saturday, and then redoing it again tonight. But Corey, we appreciate you taking the time out again to come up here. And once again, we're going to hit you with Chris's Trivia Bonanza. And we'll see if we can get this for you this time, Corey. And thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. You guys are doing a great job. I really enjoy this, and I know guys in the league that are really involved with the league, especially guys that some of the players that are involved with the league that don't know about this. They will. I'm going to share the shit out of this, and I really enjoyed the. Yeah, I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes. I think it was a really good talk with Dave. I think your opening episode 1 was great, explaining what you guys were going to do. I think this is going to be good. I think a lot of guys are going to like this.
Let's hope so. All right, Chris, what do you got?
All right, Red Sox cap there. Clearly a Red Sox fan. I want to know if you can name the last 3 Red Sox to win a batting title.
Jesus. This one's going to be a lot harder. Batting title.
I had an easier time with this one than I did the others.
You did?
Let's not give away the other one because I'm going to reuse that.
Well, Mookie won one, right?
He did win one, yep.
Who else won one? Did Mo Vaughn win one?
He might have, but it would have been previous to these guys that I'm thinking of. So 2 more. I'll give you a hint. They both came in the 21st century.
Okay. So it was recent. So we got Mookie. Then did Manny win one?
No.
He's
That's a tough one.
So
Nomar won one in 2000, also won one in 1999.
Okay.
And Bill Miller won the batting title in 2003.
Oh, Billy Miller.
Bill Miller.
Love Billy Miller.
Yeah. So, yeah. Hey, looks like our contestants are 0 for 2 on Chris's Trivia Bonanza, so I'll keep them coming.
0 for 2.
Like Pat said, thanks for joining us, Corey. It's a good talk, and it was fun to listen to the history of the Braves.
Yeah, boys. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to getting this season going, and we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, so this will come out on Tuesday. We're going to try make this a weekly thing on there. So definitely, Corey, share this out. We'll get this out there. Don't think Poppy has any more questions because he tried to ask last week and got nothing. So
he said that he didn't win the batting title and couldn't be included in that trivia question.
Well, I knew he didn't. As much as everybody would want to say Poppy, I knew he didn't.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Corey, and we'll see you all next Tuesday.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks.